Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. A very warm welcome to yet another talk under our Weekend with Wisdom. Let me begin with a small prayer. Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Tada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि Om. Today we have with us Dr. Rajeev Kurapati ji. Very warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you for
Thank
making
you.
time for this program. And he'll be speaking on a very interesting topic, the secret wisdom of Dakshinamurthy Stotram. Dakshinamurthy Stotram is a very widely renowned text of Vedanta, a Prakarana Grantha, a Stotra Grantha, attributed to Bhagavad Adi Shankaracharya, and most likely composed by him because we have a commentary by his Shishya, Sri Sureshwaracharya, on Dakshinamurthy Stotra titled Manasollasa, and there are many other commentaries as well. So it's a wonderful text in a stotra format which teaches Vedanta, and Dr. Rajiv ji will be sharing many wisdom, many highlights and key points from the text. Before we proceed, I just want to give a brief introduction. Dr. Rajeev Kurapati ji is a medical doctor and a philosopher based in USA. He received his medical training in Chennai and then went on to complete his residency in Kentucky, followed by a fellowship in integrative medicine. Dr. Rajiv also holds an MBA and a master's degree in Sanskrit. And due to his deep interest in both scientific and philosophical sides, so he has pursued this multidisciplinary learning, academics, and he's an acclaimed author known for his award-winning books that bridge the worlds of medicine, philosophy, and spirituality. Thank you again, Dr. Rajeev ji. It is wonderful to have you here. Viewers, so if you have any questions from the session, please put it in Q&A box, and we will take up for discussion towards the end, last 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So with this brief comments, Dr. Rajeev, please go ahead and start your session.
Thank you, Nitinji, for inviting me to this weekend talks on this platform, Indica Moksha. The word moksha is very interesting. Moksha comes from the root, Sanskrit root word or dhatu, root verb, much. Much means to liberate, to free oneself. So to free oneself from what? That is the essence of Dakshinamurthy Stotram. It has been said that there are three things that are difficult to attain. The three things are Durlabham Trayameva Etat Daivanugraha Hetukam Manushyatvam Mumukshutvam Mahapurusha Samshrayaha. Durlabham, difficult to attain. Durlabham Trayameva Etat. Etat Trayam Durlabhameva. Daivanugraha Hetukam, only by the grace of the divine providence or the grace of the God, you can attain three things. The three things are Manushyatvam, to be born as a human. Why human? Because we tend to think humans are at the top of the food chain. So it is very apt to say that Manushyatvam, to be a human, is one of the Durlabham, difficult things to attain. That is not the reason. The reason is humans can think beyond the survival instincts. We like to think, we think better than other life forms, right? So humans. So we are a rational animal. We question everything. Not only we question everything, we question the questioner, right? So Durlabham Trayameva Etat Manushyatvam Mumukshutvam, that is where the word moksha comes. Mumukshutvam, to desire freedom from bondage, to liberate oneself, to attain Sukha Prapti, Atyantika Dukkha Nivrutti. That is one interpretation of moksha. Sukha Prapti, Atyantika Dukkha Nivrutti. Dukkha nivritti means to rid ourselves of sorrow. But what is atyantika? Atyantika means absolute, once for all. That is the moksha. See, when we attain something that we are desirous of, we feel happy, we feel delighted. But the thing is, after having attained it, our mind seeks something else. So that is not dukkha nivritti. Atyantika dukkha nivritti and sukha prapti is moksha. And sukha manushyatvam mumukshitvam mahapurusha samshraya. To be amongst the satsanga of all of you is mahapurusha samshraya. So we have already in the midst of this, being just in this satsanga, sukha manushyatvam mumukshitvam mahapurusha samshraya durlabham trayameva etat. So with that, let me start off. What is Dakshinamurthy Stotram and why is it important? See, when you look at philosophy, you see Western philosophy, there is a word called ontology. Right? You are probably familiar with the word ontology. Ontology means questions about our existence. What is reality? Is this world real or is it an illusion? And such questions, the part or the area of philosophy that deals with these type of questioning come under the purview of ontology in Western philosophy. Indian philosophers belonging to different traditions, different schools of thought, different darshanas have extensively investigated this ontological basis of our existence. Where do we come from? What is our relationship with this world? Did anyone create it, or is it a fluke of existence? Did we just come out of fluke and there is no just a combination of chemicals and we just arrived here? This type of thinking is ontology. Dakshinamurthy Stotram belongs to that area of philosophy. See, I'm a medical doctor. I like to call myself as a scientific thinking person. Anytime you talk about philosophy, you have to question every aspect of it. Dakshinamurthy Stotram is, what is a stotram? First of all, stotram comes from the root word stuti or stu. The comes from stuti, and the word stuti comes from the root word stu. Stu means to praise. To praise what? To you, who do you praise? So if we praise a lot of people in our lives, right? So we praise our people that we are scared of, people who are supreme, and there are at least 3 to 4 reasons why we praise somebody. One is out of fear. We fear the king, the boss, the supreme, and so we praise them so that they don't harm us or they take care of us. The second reason why we praise somebody is to get something from that person. You praise the boss so that you get a promotion. The third reason why we praise someone is out of pure love. You love somebody, either a person or something, just out of pure love. Sometimes there is transaction involved in this thing, what we call love, so that the other person gets impressed and reciprocates and returns our love. So that is one type of one reason why we praise somebody. The final reason which Dakshinamurthy Stotra falls under is out of pure bliss. There is nothing in return. It is just acknowledging the beauty of existence, the reason why we are here. So to praise somebody. It is not praising the Lord, although it is implied that because something that is very abstract, we give it a form as Dakshinamurthy. The one facing the south is Dakshinamurthy. It is a form of Shiva. We'll get to that. So that is what Stotram means. The word stu means to praise. Stotram is to praise something in this context, to praise that entity, that Brahman, that entity which has given, which is responsible for this existence. Let me give you a brief outline of what we are going to discuss today. Dakshinamurti Stotram, I'm going to recite. If you have Dakshinamurti Stotram, you can, I recommend that you either Google and open the actual Dakshinamurti Stotram in your own language and follow along with me. After reciting the Dakshinamurti Stotram, we'll go verse by verse and see what they actually mean. So let me open the Dakshinamurti Stotram. Let me see if I can share it here. So this is Dakshinamurti. Can you see the Dakshinamurti Stotram here?
Can you make it full screen?
Actually, let me put it this way. Can you see the PDF, Nitinji?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay, good. Let me use this PDF to go over the Dakshinamurti Stotram. Dakshinamurti Stotram is divided into 3 parts. It is a very short stotram. It is divided into 3 parts. The first one is Shanti Pataha. Every stotram, every important philosophical or work starts with the Shanti Pata. So Shanti Pata, Dhyana Sloka, and then comes the actual Dakshinamurti Stotram. In the Dakshinamurti Stotra, there are 10 verses. Of the 10, 9 are actually the Dakshinamurti Stotra verses. The last one is praising what is the Phalashruti, what do we get by reciting the Dakshinamurti Stotra. So let me start with this in a traditional way, the way it is recited traditionally. Yo brahmanam vidadhati purvam, yo vai vedanscha prahinoti tasmai, tamha devam atma buddhi prakasham, mumukshurvai sharanamaham prapadye. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam Varshishthante Vasadrushi Ganai Avrutam Brahmanishtai Acharyendram Karakalita Chinmudramananda Rupam Swatma Ramam Mudita Vadaram Dakshinamurti Mide Vatavitapi Samipe Bhumi Bhage Nishannam Sakala Muni Jananam Gnanadataramarat Tribhuvana Gurumisham Dakshinamurti Devam Janana Marana Dukkacheda Daksham Namami Chitram Vatataror Mule Vruddha Sishya Gurur Yuva Gurostu Maunam Vyakhyanam Sishyastu Chinna Samshaya Nidhaye Sarva Vidyanam Bhishaje Bhavaroginam Gurave Sarvalokanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavardhaya Shuddhagnanaika Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Vishvam Darpana Drushyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam Pashyannatmani Mayaya Bahirivodbhutam Yatha Nidraya Yasakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Swatmanamevadvayam Tasmai Sri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Sri Dakshinamurtaye Bijasyantarivangkuro jagadidam prang nirvikalpam punaha Maya kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitra chitrikritam Maya viva vijrumbhayatyapi mahayogi vayashvechaya Tasmai Sri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Sri Dakshinamurtaye Yasyaiva Spuranam Sadatmakam Asatkalpardhakam Bhasate Sakshat Tattvamasiti Vejavachasa Yo Bodhayatyashritan Yas Sakshat Karanad Bhave Na Punaravrittir Bhavam Bhonidau Tasmai Sri Guru Murtaye Namaidam Sri Dakshinamurtaye Nana Chidra Ghatodara Sthita Mahadipa Prabha Bhaswaram ज्ञानं यस्य तु चक्षुरादिकरणद्वारा बहिस्पन्दते जानामीति तमेत भान्तं तमेव भान्तमनुभात्येतत् समस्तं जगत् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये देहं प्राणमपीन्द्रियाण्यपि चलां बुद्धिं च शून्यं विदुः स्त्रीबालान्धजडोपमास्त्वहमिति भ्रान्ता भृशं वादिनः मायाशक्तिविलासकल्पितमहाव्यामोहसंहारिणे तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये राहुग्रस्तदिवाकरेन्द्रसदृशो माया समाच्छादनात् सन्मात्रकरणोपसंहरणतो यो भूत्सुषुप्तः पुमान् प्रागस्वाप्समिति प्रबोधसमये प्रत्यभिज्ञायते तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बाल्यादिष्वपि जाग्रदादिषु तथा सर्वास्वस्थास्वपि व्यावृत्तास्वनुवर्तमानमहमित्यन्तं स्फुरन्तं सदा स्वात्मानं प्रकटीकरोति भजतां यो मुद्रया भद्रया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये विश्वं पश्यति कार्यकारणतया स्वस्वामि सम्बन्धतः शिष्याचार्यतया तथैव पितृपुत्राद्यात्मना भेदतः स्वप्ने जागृति वा य एष पुरुषो माया परिभ्रामितः तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये भूरम्भांस्तनलो निलोम्बरमहार्नाथो हिमांशुः पुमान् इत्याभाति चराचरात्मकमिदं यस्यैव मूर्त्यष्टकम् नान्यत् किञ्चन विद्यते विमृशतां यस्मात् परस्माद् विभोः तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नम इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये सर्वात्मत्वमिति स्फुटीकृतमिदं यस्मादमुष्मिंस्तवे तेनास्य श्रवणात् तदर्थमननात् ध्यानाच्च संकीर्तनात् सर्वात्मत्वमहाविभूतिसहितं स्यादीश्वरत्वं स्वतः सिद्ध्येत् तत्पुनरष्टधा परिणतं ऐश्वर्यमव्याहतं च ईश्वर्यम् अव्याहतम्. This is the Dakshinamurti Stotram. Some people like to end it with the Shantipata again. Yo Brahmanam vidadhati purvam yo vai vedamsya prahinoti tasmai tamha devam atma buddhi prakasham mukshurvai sharanamaham prapadye. So that is the Dakshinamurti Stotram. Before I start the actual breakdown of the verse, this is how I'm going to do it. You know, breakdown of the verse with the translation. But let me share something before we move on. What is Dakshinamurti Stotra talking about? Is it simply praising the Lord or the God or the Brahman or the Paramatman or Ishvara or Narayana, however you call it, or is there a deeper philosophy behind it? This is a special stotra. You know, our stotra, Lalita Sahasranama Stotra, Sahasranama, 1000 names of Lalita. 1000 names as a stotram praising the ultimate reality, ultimate or universal consciousness, however you call it. But this is different. This is actually giving you a philosophy. This is not simply praising with different names. It is actually giving you a certain philosophy embedded in it. So what is that philosophy? We talked about, I started with what we call ontology, the nature of existence. This nature of existence can be questioned, can be inquired in 4 different ways. We talked about being human, manushyatvam, right? Being human, being a manushya. Question everything, be curious, question everything, and question the questioner itself. So let me share a quick PowerPoint that I made here to investigate. So there are three things in existence. Remember, we are in ontology. We are questioning the nature of existence. Everything in this existence can be broken down into three aspects. One is jiva. Jiva is the individual consciousness within us. Jiva, jagat. Jiva is also called embodied consciousness. It is just an English name for jiva. Jagat. Jagat means the world that we see, the world that we perceive. Jiva, Jagat, and Brahman. Brahman is the one that is responsible for these two. The one that is responsible for Jiva and Jagat is Brahman. Yo Brahmanam vidadha. No. Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhisam vishanti. This is a Upanishadic statement, Upanishadic verse, which says yato va imani bhutani jayante, from where all this bhutani, jiva and jagat comes into existence. Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti, by which everything sustains. Yena yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti abhisam vishanti, after their dissolution, into which everything goes back. That is Brahman. This is the Upanishadic statement. That is Brahman. So we have to use the words in the proper context in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, we have what is called contextual variation, or sometimes it's called contextual reliability in computer language, but I would like to call it contextual variation. Take the example of computer language. Contextual variation in computer language, can you imagine what that is? Contextual variation, zero. There is no variation in the context. Whatever you provide to the computer language, the output will be exactly the same, no matter who provides it. It is very specific. Entire world, no matter who writes the computer language, the output is based on certain protocol, correct? Whereas in Sanskrit, in the language that we are studying, or the Dakshinamurthy Stotram is written, contextual variability is very high. For example, in Bhagavad Gita, there is a verse, Uddhared atmanatmanam na atmanam avasadayet atmaiva hi atmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripuratmanaha. Let me repeat. Uddhared atmanatmanam na atmanam avasadayet atmaiva hi atmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripuratmanaha. See how many atmas are there here. So the meaning of each atma depends on the context in which it is used. See, the word atma, there is a specific definition in our Vedanta. Sthula sukshma karana sharirad vetriktah panchakoshatitah avastayatrakshi avastatraya sakshi sat chit ananda rupasan yat tishtati sa atma. I'm not going to go into what this means, but that is the description of atma. But the word atma can be used in different ways, which can include jivatma, paramatma, or just the mind, ego, depending on the context. So the contextual reliability is very high in Sanskrit. So with that in mind, you will actually see how the same word changes its meaning depending on the context. Here in Jiva, Jagat, and Brahman, you will also see how the words change. The word Brahman changes depending on how you are interpreting, in what context it is interpreting. So the relationship we are, remember, I want to keep bringing you back so that we don't lose of where we are heading with this. We are talking about ontology, the nature of existence. Existence can be divided into three aspects, Jiva, Jagat, and Brahman. There are four ways you can interpret the relation, no matter where you go, who you ask, whatever religion, philosophy, theology, whatever you ask, it can only be four ways that there can be a relationship between these three. Number one, the Brahman, so I put this in a picture format. So I hope it makes more sense in this way. You see this orange color, the ochre or yellow color is the Brahman or the source, or the principle, the source principle. I'm calling it source principle or primordial reality. So that is the Brahman, the source from which the Jiva and Jagat, the blue circle is Jagat and the pink circle is the Jiva. So the source this is possibility number one. The source creates Jiva and Jagat. First possibility. The source or the supreme reality or the God creates Jagat to serve the Jiva, to serve the humans. So everything in this Jagat, so what does that mean? Everything in this Jagat is subservient to man, not only human, but that to man. In this type of system or belief system, because everything in this world, phenomenal or perceivable world, is subservient to the human, you cannot praise, you cannot worship anything in this universe except the God. Make sense? Why some religions or theology hate idol worship? Because everything in this Jagat was created for the benefit, for the human enjoyment. In fact, for man's enjoyment, including women. Women was created for the enjoyment of man. No, don't blame me. This is one of the theological principles in some of the religious institutions around the world. And therefore, you can only worship God because God created the world to serve human. So anything in this world is only subservient to human, and therefore you cannot have idol worship. This is one possibility, theological possibility. Possibility number two, the world, Jagat and Jiva were created. Jiva is a product of Jagat. And when everything dissolves, they go back into the primordial source or Brahman. This is possibility number two, right? So there is the supreme being out there that creates Jiva and Jagat, and Jiva and Jagat are no different. Jiva is a product of Jagat. So there is no superiority, inferiority thing here. So everything can be, you can worship a plant or a tree or a rock or a stone or a statue or a sculpture and imagine and do a prana pratishtha in it and imagine. So absolutely fine with idol worship as long as the idol is seen as a pratirupa of the supreme being. So that is possibility number two. Possibility number three, Jiva and Jagat are a modification of the Brahman. The Brahman becomes Jiva and Jagat. So you are like a part of the Brahman. You are like a Anga Angi Bhava, which means you are part of a bigger whole, that is the Brahman. You look at Purusha Sukta, Sahasra Sirsha Purusha Sahasrakshas Sahasrapad Sabhutim Vishvato Vatva Atyathishta Dashangulam. The world was created. Now the world that you see, the Jiva and Jagat, are forms of God or forms of the Brahman, and they are part of the Brahman. So they are never equal or same as Brahman, but they are different. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Satyam. Brahma is real, Jagat is real. Jivo Brahma, Jivaha Brahma, Aparaha, both are separate. Jiva and Brahma are separate, but Brahma and Jagat and Jiva are parts of the Brahman. You see? So the Jiva and Jagat are never equal to the source principle, but they're only parts of it. The final fourth possibility is this pictorial representation may be confusing, but let me explain this. The source principle, which is the Brahman, manifests as or projects the world. Imagine you are sleeping, you have projected a dream in your consciousness, and in that dream you have created, or a world is created where time, space, and causality is created. So when the dream disappears, time, space, causality dissolves into your consciousness and disappears. So in that way, this is the fourth possibility is being examined. So the world that you see, the Jagat, Jiva, everything is a manifestation within the Brahman by his own faculty, his or her by its own faculty. Brahman here does not mean he or she. We call it it. It's a neuter gender. In fact, there is no gender to it, but because we have to say it, right? We have to use language to describe it. So that is the fourth possibility. Projection. There is no objective reality to this world. It is only a manifestation like a dream, and it dissolves back into the. So you go back to the Upanishadic statement that I mentioned earlier. Yato va imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yat preyanti abhisamvishanti. The same statement can be interpreted in all these four ways. Just like a dream, imani bhutani jayante, these bhutas have come into being. These bhutas are sustaining. Where? In my dream, in my projection. And they go back, they dissolve back. So that is the fourth possibility. The third possibility that I'm going backwards, the third possibility, the world and the Jagat was created by the Brahman as its own, the Brahman's own extension or own parts, and then go back into it. So I hope you got the point. So we are talking about ontology, the nature of existence, where we come from, what happens to us, where we go back, is there an objective reality to it or not? Here, Dakshinamurthy Stotra is talking about this fourth possibility. Now, people who, why is it called secret? Why did I call it secret wisdom of Dakshinamurthy? People who are open to questioning can only investigate, examine these things. People who are closed, people who say, I have a belief system, I'm not going to question it. They are not open to this kind of knowledge, to be very frank, to be very blunt. Therefore, people who are only open to questioning can come to this wisdom, and that is why it is secret wisdom. And they have to put aside their beliefs, they have to put aside all the knowledge that they have and start with sincere earnestness. They have to question everything, including the questioner. So that is Dakshinamurthy. Let me go back to the actual Dakshinamurthy Stotra here, and we will start seeing what they are talking about. So remember, let us jump into the Dakshinamurthy Stotra with this in mind. So I said it starts with the Shantipata. So the first several verses are just praising the Tattva, the Dakshinamurthy. Dakshinamurthy. So there is a statement in one of the Prakarana Granthas, Chodyam va pariharo va kriyatam dvaita bhashaya. Advaita bhashaya chodyam nasti na api taduttaram. Chodyam va pariharo va. All debates and discussions happen in duality. Although you have realized the non-dual nature of the self or the Brahman, where Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, Jagat is Mithya, illusion. Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Brahma and Jiva are not two different things. The dream and the person dreaming are not two separate entities. It is the person who is dreaming, the dream goes back. The dream is the Jagat of that person in the dream. And once the dream goes away, then all that remains is the consciousness of the one who is dreaming, right? There is no dream anymore. So Jivo Brahma, Jiva and Brahma, or Jagat and Brahma, na paraha, they are not two different things. So to tell this philosophy, we have what is called Dakshinamurthy. Dakshinamurthy is a form of Shiva. Dakshina means south. Dakshinamurthy, Dakshinascha. So Dakshinamurtischa. The one who is facing the south is Dakshinamurti. Dakshinascha asau amurtischa. There are two interpretations for Dakshinamurti. Dakshinamurti, Dakshinabhimuka Murtihi, the one facing the Dakshina side, where he is sitting under a tree. This is the imagery, the guided imagery. I am taking you through a guided imagery here. Imagine a big Vatavruksha, big huge tree, banyan tree, and underneath the tree you have a young guru, you have a young teacher teaching aged sishyas, aged wise guru, wise sishyas or students. They are facing him. The teacher is facing south, the sishyas are facing him, right? Why is the word Dakshina becomes important? Dakshina means south. When you are facing south, in Hindu philosophy, in the Sanatana Dharmic philosophy, facing south means facing death. The death of what? The death of ignorance. Agnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Agnana timirandhasya, the darkness due to ignorance. Agnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshu, the one who opens our eyes and makes us see the reality. What is reality? That ontology we were talking about. Brahma satyam jagan mithya, jivo brahmaiva naparaha. That is the reality. So the one who will enable us to see that reality, if you imagine that as a that tattva in a guru form, you get Dakshinamurti. That one is facing south, so that the death of ignorance leads us to gnana, leads us to wisdom. So Dakshinabhimuka Murtihi. That is one interpretation of Dakshinamurti. The second interpretation is Dakshinascha asau amurtischa. The one who is facing south, the one who is amurti, he has no murti, he has no form, but it is a tattva. That tattva that we imagine is facing south and teaching the sishyas, us, is Dakshinamurti. So Dakshinascha asau amurtischa Dakshinabhimuka Murtihi. So two ways of describing. Scholars have described it in at least these two ways. So the first several verses are praising this Dakshinamurti tattva that we imagine as a form of Shiva. Is this yo brahmanam vidadhati purvam yo vai vedamscha prahinoti tasmai tamha devam atma buddhi prakasham mumukshurvai sharanamaham prapadye. Who before creation. Now remember that tattva which is abstract, which has no form, in fact has no name also. Now we are getting into the secret wisdom, which has no form, which has no name. We have given it a name and a form. Upasanartham Brahmano Rupakalpana. For the Upasana, we have given the Brahma a Rupa, a form and a name. So who before creation ordains the cosmic order? Brahma. He is the Brahma. Now imagine that form has taken, that abstract concept has taken a form and has created, like the creation of, like the projection of a dream. Who before creation ordains the cosmic order? Who propagates the knowledge of the Vedas? To that divine entity who illuminates one's intellect, to that I, the one desiring liberation, mumukshutvam, remember we mentioned that, the one who is desiring liberation, I take refuge and surrender to that. Yo brahmanam vidadhati purvam yo vai vedamscha prahinoti tasme tamha devam atma buddhihi prakasham mumukshurvai sharanam aham prapadye sharanam aham prapadye mumukshurvai, desiring moksha. So that is the first. Mauna vyakhya prakatita parabrahma tattvam yuvanam varshishtante vasadrushi ganaihi avrutam brahmanishtaihi acharya indram. the king of the acharyas, the best among acharyas. Karakalita Chinmudram Anandarupam, the one who has the Chinmudra. The Chinmudra is a representation. It is, you know, our culture has many mudras, right? Representing many things. If you look at Natya Shastra, you will understand. The Chinmudra is a representation of wisdom, of ultimate wisdom. Chinmudramananda Rupam Swa Atma Ramam Mudita Vadanam Dakshinamurtim Ide. Ide, I praise, I adore, I praise. Ide Murti Dakshinamurtim Ide. I praise that Dakshinamurti. Who is that? Swa Atma Ramam. The word Ramam is beautiful here. The word Ramam, Rama, we just had Prana Pratishtha of Rama, right, in Ayodhya. What does the word Rama means? Ram, the word Rama comes from the root word Ram. Ram means to delight, to enjoy, to delight. The one who sits in our hearts and delights us, makes us happy, that is Rama. Jananam Hridayeshu Yaha Tishtan Ramayati Saha Ramaha. Jananam Manushyanam Hridayeshu. That is why being Manushya is important. Manushyanam Hridayeshu Yaha Tishtan Ramayati. The one who sits in the Hridaya of people and makes them happy, delights them, is Rama. That is one. Ramayati iti Ramaha. Swa Atma Ramam, in one's own Atma, and revels in one's own self. That Dakshinamurti I am praising. And who is, again, many descriptions of that Dakshinamurti. Mauna Vyakya, sitting in silence. That is, you know, you see great gurus like Ramana Maharshi imparting wisdom in silence. Mauna Vyakya, Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam. That Parabrahma Tattvam he is imparting through Maunam. Mauna Vyak. So how can that be possible? It is possible if you are open to it. Mauna Vyakya, Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. That young teacher, young does not represent chronological age. Young represents vitality, not just tamas. It represents vitality, sattva guna. Varshishtante, at the end of age, Varshishta, at the, referring to age old, at the end of age. Varshishtante vasat rushi ganaihi. Vasat, dwelling, right? Vasat, Vasi, the one who dwells, Vasat, not Vasi, Vasat rushi ganaihi, one dwelling, residing. Who is residing? Avrutam Brahmanishtaihi, by Rushiganaihi, by the group of sages. You know, imagine that the guided imagery I gave you, the one who is sitting under the great banyan tree with a group of sishyas who are aged sages, who represents age, but then they are actually listening to the young guru. So all these are descriptions of that Tattvam. Acharya Indram Karakalita Chinmudram Ananda Rupam Swa Atmaramam Muditavadanam Dakshinamurti Ide. Vatavitapi Samipe Bhumi Bhage Nishannam Sakala Muni Jananam Gnana Dataram Arat Tribhu Vana Gurum Isham Dakshinamurti Devam Janana Marana Dukkha Cheda Daksham Namami. Looks like the way I'm going, at the speed I'm going, it will take me like 3 hours to complete it, but let me speed it up a little bit. Vatavitapi Samipe Bhumi Bhage Nishannam Sakala Muni Jananam Gnanadataram Gnanadata Gnanadataram Arat Tribhuvana Gurum Isham Dakshinamurti Devam Janana Marana Dukkha Cheda Daksham Namami. Seated at the base of the banyan or the big tree, the bestower of knowledge to all the sages, the teacher of the three worlds, to that Dakshinamurti, I bow to him, who is skilled in dispelling the sorrow of birth and death. Here, birth and death does not represent physical birth and death. It represents the samsara. It also represents physical birth and death, but to be more relevant here. It represents the birth and death of the dukkha and sukha. Both are gone, and all that remains is the bliss. Chitram vatataror mule vruddha sishya gurur yuha gurostu maunam vyakhyanam sishyastu chinna samshaya. Below the banyan tree, a picture, an imagery emerges. An guided imagery is important here, where the disciples are elderly, the guru is youthful, the guru's teaching are conveyed in silence, and the disciples are left without any doubts. What is the place or a situation where there are no doubts? When you completely understand something. Remember when we were doing math problems in school, as long as we don't know the problem, it remains as a problem. The moment we know the steps and get the answer, there is no problem anymore, right? No doubts, no problem. Nidhaye sarva vidyanam bhishaje bhavaroginam gurave sarvalokanam dakshinamurtaye namaha. All this is we have not even gotten into Dakshinamurthi Stotram yet. The treasure trove of all knowledge, the healer of the disease of the worldly existence, the disease of the worldly existence, bhavaroginam. We are all bhavarogas. One of the swamis say that we are all samsara sarpa drashtaha. We were all bitten by the snake of samsara, and we are struggling. So the treasure, the healer, he is the healer of this bhavaroga. Gurave sarvalokanam dakshinamurtaye namaha. And then this concludes, this stuti concludes, Namah pranavardhaya shuddha gnana eka murtaye, shuddha gnana eka murtaye, nirmalaya prashantaya dakshinamurtaye. Salutations to the one who represents the pure knowledge and essence of the sacred syllable Om, embodying its singular form. Nirmalaya prashantaya dakshinamurtaye namaha. Now the actual Dakshinamurti Stotram starts. We are already into 45 minutes into this. Vishwam darpana drishyamana nagari tulyam nijantargatam pashyan atmani mayaya bahihi iva udbhutam yatha nidraya yaha sakshat kurute prabodha samaye swa atmanam eva advayam tasmai Sri Guru Murtaye namaidam Sri Dakshinamurtaye. Every verse from here, from 1 to 10, from 1 to 9, ends with Tasmai Sri Guru Murtaye namaha idam Sri Dakshinamurtaye. So, which means that to that auspicious Guru, I offer my salutations. Now, the meaning of this is the universe is like a city seen in a mirror. Imagine you are driving in your car and you look at the rear view mirror. Rear view mirror actually gives you a wider perspective, right? Wider view. So the world is like a city seen in a mirror. What does it mean? It means that it does not have an absolute reality. That's all it means. In this context, remember, you have to take it in the right context. Because of the contextual variability of Sanskrit, and the poetic form in which it is presented, you have to put it in the right context. Here it means the world is as if you see the world like in a mirror, which means there is no objective reality to it. Now you may say, oh, because there is a world out there, you can see it in the mirror. See, these are drushtantas. Drushtantas or a special form of usage or presentation in our darshanas, in our shastras, where you have to put it in the right context. And drushtantas are only limited. You cannot keep expanding it. So the world is as if it is seen in a mirror, which simply means it is like an illusion situated within oneself, which means it is a projection of our deep supreme Jivatma, perceiving with illusion or Maya in oneself. How did this illusion happen? By the power of the Atma itself, called Maya. Maya is the power of the Atma that enables the world appear when it does not really exist. as though it has emerged outside, just as in a dream. See this? Who during the time of, imagine when you wake up from the dream, there is no duality, there is no world and you have dissolved the dream into you. So that is what it means. During the time of awakening, realizes the non-dual nature of the self. The one who imparts that wisdom, to that guru I offer my salutations. So the same theme keeps repeating verse after verse. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Remember the ontology, the nature of existence. Question everything, question the questioner. The same concept keeps repeating over and over in this Dakshinamurthy Stotram. Verse number 2. Bijasya antaha iva ankuraha jagad idam prak nirvikalpam punaha. If you combine both, Bijasyantarivangkuro jagadidam prang nirvikalpam punaha Maya kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitra chitrikrutam Maya kalpita desha kala kalana vaichitra chitrikrutam Maya viva vijrumbhayatyapi mahayogiva yasvechaya Mayavi iva, like a magician, Vijrumbhayatyapi Mahayogiva, like a Mahayogi, Swechaya, by his own Icha. Maya is created. Because of the Maya, the world appears. Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Sri Gurumurtaye Namaha. Like the sprout in a seed, the world before appearing as it does was undifferentiated. What was there before the dream was projected? There was only potential. There is only a possibility that the dream is possible. There's nothing else. There is no objective reality to it. You cannot hold it, but it is possible. Like a sprout in a seed, the world before appearing as it does was undifferentiated, crafted with the distinctions of space and time and variegated by the display of Maya. I keep going back to the Drishtanta of the dream, Swapna. In the Swapna Loka, there is space and time. There is causality created. Because of what? Because of your own potential to create that dream by the play of that Maya. It manifests as if by magic. How does the dream happen? Do you plan it? Do you create it? It happens by as if it is magic, as if the great yogi has created it. No, the one who imparts that wisdom to me is Dakshinamurthy. I bow to him. Yasya iva spuranam sadatmakam asatkalpardhakam bhasate. Yasya eva spuranam sat atmakam asatkalpardhakam bhasate. Sakshat tattvamasiti vedavachasa bodhayatyashritan or yo bodhayati ashritan. Sakshat tattvamasi. Tat tvam asi. You, that you are. What is that? That Brahman you are. Because of that consciousness, the dream has arisen. The dream is not different from that. That consciousness, because of Maya, has resulted in the Jagat. And Jiva and Jagat are not too different. And Jiva, Jagat, both together dissolve back into the supreme consciousness. Like a dream disappears. And absolute no existence after that. So, Tattvamasi iti Vedavachasa, that Vedavachasa, that Vedic statement, that the Upanishad, see, Upanishads are nothing but Vedas, right? Vedanta, Veda, Anta, the one that appears at the end of Vedas, or the essence of Vedas is Vedanta. That Vedavachasa, Yaha Bodhayati Ashritan, Yat Sakshat Karanat Bhaven Na Punaravrittihi Bhava Ambodhinau. By knowing which na punaravrittihi bhava, there is no sorrow, because you have realized the world is an illusion. See, when you realize the world is an illusion, it doesn't mean that you'll stop eating or going to work or taking care of yourself. It just means that you have realized the reality of it, the absolute, you have realized the illusory nature of it. As long as you are in this body, you carry on with the duties of this body. Loka Vyavahara, carry on with the Loka Vyavahara. But once you realize the reality behind it, then na punaravrittihi, there is no coming back into this samsara. Means internally you have, or you have internalized in your antahkarana. Ambodhinau, bhava ambodhi, this ocean of samsara, whose very manifestation illuminates the eternal self, making the unreal appear as real, the unreal world appear as if it is real, as if it has an absolute reality. That I'm revering that Dakshinamurti, who instruct his devotees with the Vedic statement, you are the Tattvamasi, by whose direct realization there is no return to this world of worldly existence. Means the samsara nivritti has happened. Moving on, number 4. Nana Chidra Gathodara Sthita Mahadeepa Prabhabhaswaram. Nana Chidra Ghata Udara Sthita Mahadeepa Prabhabhaswaram. Jnanam Yasya tu Chakshuradi Karanadvara Bahispandate. Jnanam Yasya tu Chakshuradi. Chakshuhu Adi. Means sense organ. Karanadvara Bahihi Spandate. Janamiti tameva bhantam anubhati etat samastam jagat. Tasmai Sri Gurumurtaye Namaidam. Now he is using the writer, which is attributed to Shankaracharya. He is using another drishtanta, like a lamp, like a light of a lamp situated within the pot. What is that pot? The pot has many holes. The knowledge that through the organs like ears, eyes, nose, all these sense organs become manifest outside. He's talking about the consciousness within. Now, the thing is, most people think that there is actually something within us that you called Atma that you can get hold of. It is not an object. It is the subject behind all the objects. You cannot get a hold of the subject. It becomes an infinite regress. You keep going after the object, after the consciousness. You will keep finding something to hold on to, but then behind the one that you are trying to hold on to, there is a consciousness that is making that perception happen. I hope you grasped it. So like that consciousness that sees through the holes. Imagine there is a light within you through, and your body is like a pot, and all these sense organs, the 9 holes of the pot, 2 eyes, nostrils, mouth, ears, genital organs, anus, and all those things, the 9 holes are, your body is like a pot with perforated holes, and within that is the consciousness that you cannot get a hold of. That is the mystery of existence. You know it's there, but you cannot get a hold of it. That is the supreme, that is the consciousness we are talking about. The knowledge that through organs like eyes becomes manifest outside, that alone shines forth as I know. I'm able to say I know it, but I'm not able to say what is that I that knows it. Illuminating the entire existence. To the one who imparts that knowledge to me, that is Dakshinamurti. I salute that one. Deham pranamapi indriyanyapi chalam buddhim cha shunyam viduhu. Deham pranam api indriyani api chalam buddhim cha shunyam viduhu. Stri balandha jadopama stvahamiti branta brusham vadinaha. Stri bala andha jada upama tu aham iti branta brusham vadinaha. Maya shakti vilasa kalpita mahavyamoha samharine. Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpita Maha Vyamoha Samharine. Then Tasmai Sri Gurumurtaye Namaidam Sri Dakshinamurtaye. People, translation of this, people recognize the body, breath, senses, the mind, intellect as themselves. We identify as all these things. I identify as my body, what my senses provide to me, what I identify, that ahankara within me, people identify that as their real self, but the self is behind that aham bhavaha. See, we have what is called antahkarana, mano buddhi ahankara chittam, manasu buddhi, manas the mind, buddhi ahankara chittam, chittam is the subconscious, ahankara the I factor, buddhi nischayatmika buddhi, manas sankalpatmikam manaha. So the one which does the sankalpa is manaha. The one who nischayatmika, the one that decides, is buddhi. Mano buddhi ahankara, the I-ness, the I within me, the one who says it is Rajiv, it is the I, the agent within me, is ahankara. Mano buddhi ahankara chittam. Chittam means subconscious, where everything is stored, our memories and everything is stored and comes as needed. Mano buddhi ahankara chittam, this is called antahkarana, inner organ, not a physical organ, but the subtle manifestation of the gross body. That antahkarana, behind that or beyond that is the consciousness, that real I, that self, supreme self, or the true self. That I is that we are talking about. That is the representation. That is the Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. That Jiva, that true self and Brahma, they are not two different things. Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. So you know the Nirvana Ashtakam. Mano buddhya hankara chittani naham na cha srotra jihve na cha grana netre na cha vyoma bhumir na tejo na vayu chidananda rupa shivoham shivoham. In that, the first part of that verse or statement, mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham, I am not, all the antahkarana. That is what he's saying in this verse. They argue, who? The Ajnanis argue, the people who are ignorant of the true self say that I is nothing but like everything that we see, people, children, like the people, children, and blind people. They don't, the word here women represents, now it is not a sex actually, remember, Sanskrit has this contextual reliability. The word woman here does not represent a gender, it represents those people who have not realized the nature of the self. Children, blind. Blind means not physically blind, the people who have not. Children means not chronological age, people who have not realized, who have not grown out of their immaturity. All these people, to who destroys this great delusion caused by the powerful play of Maya, to that I praise. Ajnanatimirandhasya gnananjana shalakaya chakshuhu unmilitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave namaha. To that Guru who dispels this ignorance and shows me light, to that Guru, that is the Dakshinamurthy. I offer my salutation. Rahugrastha Divakarendra Sadrusho Maya Samachhadanat. Rahugrastha Divakara Indu Sadrushaha Maya Samachhadanat. Sanmatra Karanopasamharanata yo abhut yaha abhut sushuptah puman. Ekaswapsam iti prabodha samaye yah pratya abhijnayate. Rahugrastha. Just as sun and moon are obscured by the eclipse caused by Rahu, in our Puranic literature, we have Rahu, that grasta, eclipse, that devers or swallows and makes the sun and moon obscured, caused by Rahu. In the same way, the pure consciousness is obscured. This is, remember again, this is not, we are not questioning whether that is true or not. We are using a drishtanta to describe, to get to a point. We are using this drishtanta for Rahu grasta divakara indu sadrushaha. Like the sadrushaha means like, which means it is a drishtanta. It is a metaphor. It is a way of we are using this to describe, to arrive at a point. Just as moon and sun are obscured by the eclipse caused by Rahu, in the same way, pure consciousness is obscured by the illusion of the Maya. This being in deep sleep, where only the pure existence remains without the senses. In deep sleep, what happens? There is where our senses are not working. If somebody throws a stone on our head, we will not know it in deep sleep because our senses are in a quiescent state. They are not functioning. But once I wake up, I'm saying I had a deep sleep. What is that? I, despite the quiescent senses and the antakarana, is saying I had a deep sleep. That I, the true sense, the true self, that is the I. That I is obscured by the illusion of Maya. The one who shows me that knowledge or gives me that knowledge, I offer salutations to that Sri Dakshinamurthy. Balyadishvapi jagradadishu tadha sarvaspavasthasvapi balyadishu api jagratadishu tatha sarvasu avastasu api vyavruttasu anuvartamanam aham iti antah spurantam sada. व्यावृत्तास्मनुवर्तमानमित्यन्तः इति अन्तःस्फुरन्तं सदा स्वात्मानं प्रकटीकरोति भजतां यो मुद्रया भद्रया स्वात्मानं प्रकटीकरोति भजतां यः मुद्रया भद्रया तस्मै श्री गुरुमूर्तये. In all stages of our lives, from childhood to all stages, in all states of wakefulness, स्थूल सूक्ष्म कारण शरीराद व्यतिरिक्तः पंचकोशातीतः अवस्थात्रय साक्षी. That definition of Atma I mentioned earlier in the talk, that in all stages from childhood and so on, childhood, adulthood, senescent, whatever stages we have in our life, in all states of wakefulness. What are the three states of wakefulness? Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. Jagrat, wakefulness, sleep and deep sleep. Swapna, dream sleep, deep sleep where there is no dream state. In all these conditions, the I that shines forth, the I that says, I was a child, I am a youth, I am an adult, I am old man or a woman, but the I remains the same, right? But the body keeps changing. And the I that says, I am awake, I slept so well that I did not know myself and I woke up. That I that remains the same in all states of wakefulness, that I. So he that shows me that I through that Chinmudra, again the Chinmudra is a representation of divine or of deep secret knowledge or wisdom. To that I am offering my salutations. विश्वं पश्यति कार्यकारणतया स्वस्वामि सम्बन्धतः शिष्याचार्यतया तथैव पितृपुत्राद्यात्मना भेदतः शिष्या आचार्यतया तथैव पितृपुत्राद्यात्मना भेदतः स्वप्ने जागृति वा य एष पुरुषः माया परिभ्रामितः. तस्मै श्री गुरवे गुरुमूर्तये नमः. Nama idam Sri Dakshinamurtaye. He sees the universe in terms of cause and effect, in terms of relationship between master. See the duality we are talking about: cause and effect, master and servant, teacher and disciple, father and son, dream and wake. All these are the creations of Maya, delusion or the illusion created by the Maya. But in reality, all this does not exist. The one who imparts this wisdom to me, to that Dakshinamurthy, I offer salutations. You see why it is called Stuti, Stotram? In the garb of Stotram, in the disguise of a Stotram, Shankaracharya is actually giving us a deep wisdom, the Advaita Vedantic wisdom. So this one, look at this beautiful verse. He sees the universe as cause and effect. He sees the universe as master and servant, as a teacher and disciple, father and son. You can give any number of examples here. Chodjam va pariharo va kriyatam dvaita bhashaya. Advaita bhashaya chodjam nasti. Na api taduttaram. This verse is from Panchadashi. Panchadashi is a Prakarana Grandha that gives us various ways of describing this knowledge of Advaita Vedanta. Chojam va pariharo va kriyatam dvaita bhashaya. Only in duality you see chojam pariharo va, question and answer. But once you know, once you have realized the Advaita state, chojam va pariharo va kriyatam dvaita bhashaya, dvaita bhashaya chojam, advaita bhashaya chojam nasti. There is no pariharova, there is no question, there is no answer in Advaita state. That is what this verse is saying. Bhuram bhamstanalo nilombaram mahar ambara aha natha himamshuhu puman bhuhu ambhamsya analaha anilaha ambaram ahaha nathaha himamshuhu puman. A little complicated samasa. Samasanam samasa. The combination of words is sama. I hope you know that. Bhu, earth, water. So earth, water, fire, air, space, sun, moon, and the living being. This eightfold form manifests as both animate and inanimate in this universe. And all these emerge from that universal consciousness alone. What this simply means is everything that the phenomenal world, the Jagat that you see, arises from him alone. But upon inspection, introspection, upon inquiry, nothing else is found to exist apart from that, because everything goes back into that, like a dream. Like in the dream, you can see earth, water, air, fire. Of course, we are talking about the human perspective, right? We're not talking about what the ant sees or the fish or the bird sees. We're talking about human perspective. So all this that we see, ultimately, where does it come from? From that deep self, of the true self, the one who imparts that knowledge. I offer my salutations. So here ends the actual Dakshinamurthy Stotram. Sarvatmatvam iti sputikrutam idam yasmat amushmin stave tena asya shravanat tad ardha mananat dhyanat cha sankirtanat sarvatmatva mahavibhuti sahitam syat ishwaratvam swataha siddhyet tat punaha ashtadha parinatam aishwaryam avyahutam. So this verse is the concluding verse of the Dakshinamurthy Stotram. What it says is the universal selfhood is expounded in this Stotram. So this verse is saying the purpose of the whole Dakshinamurthy Stotram. That self, that deep, the true self, the universal consciousness is being expounded in this Stotram, and by listening to it, by reflecting on its meaning, by meditating, by singing praises means what? By constantly dwelling in it, the realization of being the universal self, endowed with supreme powers, naturally culminate in the state of divinity. Once this realization is attained, it transforms into eightfold divine attributes. What are they? Ashtadha siddhyet tat punaha ashtadha. That becomes perfected eightfold. See, when you look at the yoga darshana, yoga school, it talks about 8 attributes, that 8 siddhis, that you attain 8 siddhis. The 8 siddhis are what? You probably know: anima, mahima, laghima, garima, prapti, prakaryam, prakaryaha, ishitvam, vishitvaha. So the power to control or manipulate things, the power of supreme control or rulership, the power to fulfill any desire, the ability to acquire anything, the ability to become small or large, the laghima, the extremely light and almost weightless, the power to expand one's physical body, the power to shrink one's physical body. These are all physical siddhis that we attain. Ashta siddhi, Hanuman is the Lord, is the one who has conquered, who has attained these Ashtasiddhis, right? Because he was a great yogi also. Shiva, Lord Shiva, has attained has Ashtasiddhis. So it has been said that even though you attain all these siddhis, that is not the ultimate goal. So they're only attained because you have gained mastery over your senses. You have attained the siddhis, but the ultimate siddhi is to realize your true self. So this final verse is saying that after you have attained siddhis, don't stop there. You keep moving on, because the ultimate goal is to attain moksha, dharmartha kama mokshas, right? Chaturvidha phala purushardham, purushardha. So the four dharma, artha, kama, moksha. The moksha is don't stop with the siddhis, move on to moksha. So that is the Dakshinamurthy Stotram. I have written a book called Unveiling Maya. Maya is like a sheet before us. You lift off the sheet, you lift off the veil, and you see the reality behind it. Unveiling Maya is the book I've recently written, and I have described all this in much more detail. You can download this book, it's everywhere. You just type my name, Unveiling Maya or Dakshinamurthy Stotram. Translation and Hidden Insights of Dakshinamurthy Stotram, Unveiling Maya. That is the name of the book. You can download this book and you can listen to this, or you can just follow the book. I've written in about 160 pages. I've written in much detail, greater detail about the main concepts of Advaita Vedanta. And I think I'll stop here and see if we have any questions.
Thank you very much for a very wonderful presentation. I think the Dakshinamurthy Stotram is a very important text, and there is so much to learn from it, though it's a very small text. Viewers, we'll just wait for a few minutes. If you have any questions, please put it in Q&A box. As we wait, Dr. Rajiv, so I wanted to ask you, can you shed some light about this commentaries available on Dakshinamurthy Stotram?
Yeah. So actually, I've written in greater detail, but let me explain. So the first the commentaries on Dakshinamurthy Stotra, the first one is the Manasollasa, right? You mentioned that in the beginning. Sureshwaracharya is a disciple of Adi Shankaracharya. He wrote a Vartika. Vartika means an extensive commentary on this. It is called Manasollasa Dakshinamurthy Stotram. It dwells into the detailed nuances of Advaita Vedanta. So this is the most standard, because it was written by the direct disciple of Adi Shankaracharya, which is why you mentioned earlier. The reason why the Dakshinamurthy Stotra is attributed to Shankaracharya is because his Shishya wrote the detailed commentary on it. And then there is another author, Nurni Ananta Krishna Shastri. He belonged to 1886 through 1964 time period. He authored a commentary on Manasollasa. That title is called Manasollasa Vardhini. Manasollasa Vardhini. So that is another commentary on the Vartika, which is Manasollasa, written by Sureshwaracharya. So Ananta Krishna Shastri is that. And the second one is Tattva Sudha by Swami Swayam Prakashananda. Swami Swayam Prakashananda wrote a rigorous commentary called Tattva Sudha on this. He talks about Brahma, Maya, Brahma, Jiva, Jagat, Satyam, Maya, and all those concepts, and gives a greater, it goes into greater detail on it. And then this both, so the Manasollasa, Tattva Sudha, gives greater, and these two, another author named Dr. D.S. Subbaramaya took these two and compiled another work and exposition bridge. It is a great bridge between the traditional and modern philosophical thought. he gives, he goes into greater detail. It is another noteworthy contribution for this stotram. The next one is, numerous people have written it, but these are the prominent ones. The fourth one is a bhashya commentary by Swami Harshananda. Swami Harshananda is the 10th president of Ramakrishna Mutt, Ramakrishna Mission, Ramakrishna Mutt. Swami Harshananda, he wrote commentary on that. So that is the bhashya. And then Swami Chinmayananda also wrote a commentary on Dakshinamurthi Stotram with Gaudapadacharya's Karika. So he used Gaudapadacharya's Karika for Advaita Vedanta philosophy and describes or explains Dakshinamurti Stotram. It is also a beautiful one by Sri Swami Chinmayananda. There are numerous other scholars, but these are the most prominent ones.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. I don't see any questions in the chat box. We can wait. Okay. I think there may be something. Let me just, yeah. So there is one question. I'll just read it out. You can also check. The term eightfold came here in two contexts. First time for the 8 different elements, fire, water, etc. And another time eightfold is for 8 siddhis. Is there any relationship between these two eightfolds, siddhis and material manifestation?
So the eightfold material manifestations, they are describing the bhutas, the different manifestations. So it ultimately means that, so by attaining these eightfold siddhis, you have control over the material aspects of the world as well. So it has no greater significance than saying that you will attain siddhis, but like I said earlier, that is not the ultimate goal. The goal is to attain moksha. So I don't think we can take anything more than that in this context.
I think that makes sense, that two are distinct things.
Yeah, right.
We'll just wait for a few minutes if there are any questions.
Yeah.
How do you see Dakshinamurti Stotram as a text by Shankaracharya compared to his other stotra texts? I mean, he has written other stotras also and other shorter shatkams such as Nirvana Shatkam and Dashashloki. All are all teaching Vedanta. So, how do you compare these category of texts?
So the thing with Dakshinamurti Stotram is, it, like I said, it's a very short stotram, but it has deeper philosophical content. It will make you think. If you understand it, rather than the other stotra, other stutis or stotras, for example, Saundarya Lahari, right? Or Saundarya Lahari is one type. So Shankaracharya, what he did was, along with his disciples, he has produced numerous works for different types of people who are inclined to the devotion. He has written stotras for them. People who are inclined for inquiry, deeper inquiry into nature of things, he has written one. So my perspective on this is, it is a hybrid between devotion and knowledge.
Okay, okay, wonderful. People are asking how they can connect with you and whether you could share the PowerPoint presentation with them. Perhaps you could just mention your email ID.
Yeah, sure. I can. You want me to type in my email ID here?
Yeah, you can put it in the chat box and select for everyone.
Okay. Okay. So I'll type my email ID there. Yeah. So I don't know if you received it.
Where have you put? Have you put it in chat box?
Oh, wait a minute. So let me put it in the chat. I put it in some other place there. Okay, so that's my email. You can directly email me.
Yes, we have shared in the chat box Dr. Rajev's email ID. Anybody who wants to connect to him can connect there. And if you want his PowerPoint presentation, you can write to him and he will definitely share this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Rajesh, again on the behalf of Indica Moksha and all our viewers for a very fascinating presentation today for a very important text. Thank you for making time for the program.
Yeah. Thank you, Nitinji, for having me here.
Thank you very much. Viewers, with this, we conclude the session. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter for announcements about our upcoming program. Thank you very much. Shri Guru Namaha.